if you're not thinking about taxes before you spend, before you invest, before you're structuring transactions, before the transaction happens, you're just feeding the IRS first and living on what's left when it really should be the opposite. So building wealth really does mean keeping more of what you make and then putting that money to work.
Welcome to Life Changing Money, a podcast all about one of the most taboo topics in the world, money. I'm your host, Barbara Strehans, and we're going behind the scenes on business owners' journeys to money, success, and wealth. Let's get started.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Life Changing Money. I'm your host, Barbara Strehans, and this week's episode is going to be all about how to win the tax game, because the tax code is a tool. It should not be a punishment. And this weekend, it was Memorial Day weekend. And honestly, I really love working out on the weekends. I know some people are very adamant about working out during the week and taking weekends off. I typically my weekdays are so busy. And yes, I work out during the week, but I love a good Friday morning sesh, Saturday morning sesh, Sunday. And then this week, because it was Memorial Day weekend, Monday morning, and I was at my hot Pilates class. And I heard the woman next to me, she is a doctor and she's always in the same classes as me, but I hadn't spoken to her yet. And I heard her talking about how she is launching her book next week. And so I just leaned over and I was like, hey, did I hear you talking that you're launching a book this week? And she's like, yes. And she was telling me all about it. She's a physician who happened to get breast cancer and she cured it with alternative medicine. So it was very controversial, right? Because she's a Western medicine doctor, but cured her cancer with alternative treatments. And so that's what her book is about. And so I was telling her what I do and that we have a tax strategy firm. And she's like, oh my gosh, my least favorite word. And I was like, taxes? And she's like, yes, it's just so stressful. And so I really want you to know that the tax code is a tool and it really can be a game. To me, it is so fun to just sit and think about ways to save money in taxes because it doesn't require me to go out and have to make more money. I just have to know how to keep more of the money I'm already making. And you might have heard me say this before, but the tax code is over 70,000 pages long between the code and the rev procs and the court cases and all the things. And most of those, I would say over 69,000 of those pages is there to show you how to get out of paying taxes. Only about a dozen pages of the Internal Revenue Code are there to show you what taxes to pay. And so the rest is there to tell you how to keep it. And the wealthy aren't cheating and they're not doing anything shady. They just understand the rules and they can pay the experts to create the plan and the strategy and the execution to keep more of their money every single year. So when I always look at it like our clients, the difference between someone paying $80,000 a year in taxes versus someone who's only paying $12,000 on the same income, it's literally just knowing how to play the game. And I see so many entrepreneurs getting stuck at this level. It's most of our clients average about $500K a year, and they could, if they didn't have strategy, end up keeping only 200,000 of it. Because if you're not thinking about taxes before you spend, before you invest, before you're structuring transactions, before the transaction happens, you're just feeding the IRS first and living on what's left when it really should be the opposite. So building wealth really does mean keeping more of what you make and then putting that money to work. And that's honestly, my passion, of course, is taxes, but lately it's been like, okay, we've had the firm for 6.5, almost 7 years, and we save everybody. Like we save so many people tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in taxes, which adds up to tens of millions of dollars in tax savings. And I love that. But then the next piece I see being missed is like, okay, if you're going to save 20, $50,000 a year in taxes, that doesn't mean you just take that money and blow it. While yes, I love bougie designer things, you guys know, my friends call me Bougie Barb. So I love the nice things. But my goal for you would be you take your tax savings and then know how to invest it strategically so that you're becoming a tax-free millionaire and becoming a tax-free millionaire even faster. So that is my goal for you. Save money in taxes, know how to build wealth with it. That's exactly what we do with our tax strategy clients every single year. And what's so fun, a little behind the scenes, I am right now I'm in like the throes of AI. I am loving it. I'm hating it and loving it. Like, I hate it because it's hurting my brain and it's just not how my brain works. Like, I'm not a tech person, but what I do like is creativity. And so, what I do like about it is like knowing what to do with AI and then thinking of cool ways that it can help our clients. So, one thing that I'm really working on is a client dashboard, which is not only going to show our clients how much they've saved with us throughout, the 3, 4, 5, 6 years they've been with us, what they're going to save in the future, but it's also extrapolating those numbers and saying, okay, if you're following our advice and putting this into a Roth and this into a solo 401k and this into a 401k and this into the cash balance plan, or maybe it's real estate, or maybe it's your goal is to have a short-term rental, whatever your goals are, it's going to extrapolate the numbers. It's going to know where you're investing already and what your goals are. And it's going to say, okay, because of working with your tax coach, not only have you saved $300,000 so far in taxes, but also that means at retirement, you're going to have an extra $7 million tax-free at retirement. So that's really, really cool. I digress, though. I do want to talk about the 3 biggest tax mistakes business owners make because I've seen tens of thousands of businesses behind the scenes, and these are the mistakes they're making. The first one is you have no plan, okay? And don't feel bad. Majority of business owners don't have this. They don't have a tax strategy. What they do have is a tax preparer because, the first year they had a business, April 15th came along and they were like, oh shit, I don't have a tax preparer. So let me ask my dad who he's used for the last 50 years. And they have some 80-year-old crotchety, crusty accountant. And so they have a tax preparer who files what's already happened in your business, but they are not looking in the future. Okay. They're looking in the rearview mirror. Strategy is looking through the windshield to see what is to come. Also, those crusty accountants have no idea what the landscape looks like for businesses in today's world, in today's market, with the world of Instagram and TikTok and social media and AI and online businesses, and what deductions need to go with those types of industries, right? I know because I hear it all day long from prospective clients like, yeah, I have an accountant, but they keep telling me that my home office is a red flag. And it's like, bro, that has not been a red flag since the late 90s. The second thing I see go wrong with business owners is having the wrong entity. If you're still operating with a sole proprietorship or just an LLC, you're paying way too much in taxes. Like if you structured your entities right, which sometimes could mean a holding company, but most of you out there who want a holding company, it's way too complicated of a structure for the type of businesses and LLCs you have. So also don't go too complex because it is something you have to keep up every year. You need separate books, you need all the things. So what we do is how can we simplify your structure? I'm all about simple. I want it to be simple, but strategic, save you money in taxes, and take you the least amount of time. So having the right entity set up is crucial. And then the last thing I see that really, really impacts your taxes is being reactive instead of proactive. So this kind of applies to like not having a strategy and not having a plan. That's more so for your tax strategist versus tax preparer. The being reactive versus proactive is on you, right? It's like you waited until tax season. You waited until the year was over or until a week before and it's Christmas and you're trying to find deductions to have before the end of the year. It's the scrambling to find the deductions that people make bad financial decisions. Like, yes, can a vehicle be a really great way to save money in taxes? Sure. But did you need the vehicle or did you just buy it because it was December 30th and you needed something before December 31st? You ask your accountant, like, what can I write off? But it's too late. And just having write offs isn't the full plan, right? The full plan should be, yes, writing off your life, but structuring it to fit your goals. And it should be set up so that you can retire even faster. The name of the game isn't just to save money in taxes today, it's to build a comprehensive financial plan. So, being proactive means you have a game plan before the year even starts. So you're listening to this, it's mid-year 2026. This is the perfect time to start strategizing because we have 6, 7 months of a runway to not just learn about your business, learn about your goals, but it's digging into your financials. It's knowing your numbers. It's seeing where's the money going, how much money is coming in, where can we create a comprehensive plan so that you save money in taxes and build your net worth. Our goal here the entire time is one, save more in taxes than what you're paying us, which that is always very easy to do. Then it's take that tax savings, build your net worth. I want you all to be millionaires. Like that is my goal. And it's so much easier than we all think. In fact, last year at Minted Wealth Live, I went over a financial plan. I told everyone it was going to show them how to be a Deca millionaire, which is a 10 millionaire. And I showed them the plan to do that. It was so easy. And the cherry on top was that they would actually become 25 millionaires. Like they would be worth over 25 million if they followed that plan, which was so easy to do. It was for someone making 500K a year. Yes, that means you making 500K a year can be worth 25 million in like literally no time at all without giving up the life of your dreams. So it should just be knowing your tax strategy, knowing your investment strategy. It means your retirement plan is optimized, not some generic 401k like that your old employer set up. It means someone looking at your full picture, your income, your family members, your real estate, your lifestyle, your goals, and building a plan around it. And like that is the difference between writing a check and hoping and knowing exactly what you owe and why. So, one tax strategy could easily save you $10,000 to $50,000 a year. And I'm not exaggerating. One single strategy. This could be a cost segregation on one rental property, which we do all the time. If any of you have second homes, if you have a lake house, a beach house, a mountain house, you want to buy a second home, you want to buy an investment property, you want to buy a rental property, you want to buy a short-term rental, all of these could be the one strategy that saves you $50,000 this year in taxes. In fact, one of our clients that just got an STR saved over $350,000 in taxes. The one strategy could be the Augusta rule and knowing how to structure it correctly and knowing the documentation and the compliance. One strategy could be an S corporation because your old accountant told you weren't ready or you don't make enough yet. But the reality is you probably should have made that election 2 years ago. The one strategy could be paying your kids through your business, and maybe you have 1 or 3 or 8 children. And you can pay them all, and it saves you tens of thousands of dollars in tax. And it's money you were already spending on your kids, but now you get it tax-free. And you can take that tax-free money and help them become tax-free millionaires. And there's so many of these tax strategies. They're not loopholes. They're literally written in the code A loophole to me is like it wasn't written specifically for that. Someone just found a workaround. These are codes in the Internal Revenue Code. The IRS wants you to use them. Do you think the government and the politicians would have spent their time writing these codes for tens of thousands of pages if they didn't want you to use them? Well, maybe some would argue they wrote them for themselves, which is probably true, but also you get to use them as well. They exist specifically to incentivize business owners to do certain things. That's all the tax code is, actually. If you peel back all the layers, the tax code is written. Typically, there's big tax law changes for every presidential election. And what happens every presidential election? If one president wants all in on green energy, guess where the incentives are? It's all in solar and green energy. If one president wants manufacturing, guess where all the incentives are? And the tax deductions and tax credits, they're all in manufacturing. So the tax code is there to incentivize behavior, i.e., manipulate the US population, but perhaps in good ways is one way you could look at it. So if it's investing in real estate, because that's why you get a cost seg study. Maybe it's hiring people, and that's why you get tax credits for hiring low income or veterans. Maybe it's to fund retirement, and that's why there is the retirement tax credit. But the thing is, most business owners have never even heard of these things, or if they have, they don't know how to execute and implement it. And that's where we come in. We do it for you, so you don't even have to think about it. Now you might be thinking, but why isn't my accountant doing this for me already? Well, your accountant isn't teaching you this because most accountants are trained in compliance. How do I comply with the IRS? They're not taught in strategy. Their job is to just file your tax return by April 15th and do 1,000 of them every year by themselves, and that's it. Nobody in school teaches you this. They don't teach you as the business owner. And fun fact, they don't even teach me as the person with a master's in taxation. They just teach us tax law. And we have to go out and learn the tax strategy. So don't feel bad. We hear from people all the time that are like, I just don't know this stuff. I'm a hairstylist. I'm a chiropractor. I'm a real estate agent. Like I went into business for that stuff, not to know about taxes. So don't feel bad about it. Like your parents probably didn't talk about it, right? I mean, I know mine didn't, unless it was about how much in back taxes they owed. And the internet and social media now is full of random tax tips with no context, or even things like ChatGPT, who is wrong all the time on tax stuff. So just be careful. So you're not behind because you're bad with money. You just might be behind because you've never had someone sit down with you and be on your team to show you the rules and actually execute it for you. So this episode was just to wake you up to the possibility of how to win the tax game. But I have an entire 90-minute masterclass coming up on May 28th, and it is the playbook on how to win the tax game as a business owner. I will say you should probably be making like $250K in order to just get the most out of this masterclass, but definitely sign up. If you head to the show notes, the link is in there. If you comment game, GAME, anywhere on my social media, it will send you the link to how to win the tax game as a business owner masterclass. Because friends, don't let friends overpay in taxes. I'll see you there.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Life Changing Money. Don't forget to subscribe, and I would love if you left a review and shared it with your friends. See you next time.